Hello, everyone. I'm Andrea Tanteros, along with Kimberly Guilfoyle, Bob Beckel, Eric Bowling, and Greg Gutfeld. It's 5 o'clock in New York City, and this is The Five. Well, you're not going to believe the latest news on the Boston terror suspects. You, the hardworking taxpayer, may have been picking up their tab. Yep, Massachusetts state officials have confirmed that 26-year-old Tamerlan Tsarnaev, who was killed in a shootout with police, was living on taxpayer-funded welfare up until last year. So, in fact, both brothers grew up on welfare with their parents in Massachusetts. So there you have it. Taxpayers potentially funding jihad. Greg, this brother was living off welfare with his wife. Also, both brothers, I should say, grew up on welfare. If he could get in a boxing ring and if he could slug it out, don't you think he could maybe get a job?
Well, I mean, let's face it, a lot of criminals in the United States are on welfare, so this isn't a big surprise. But we've heard of state-sponsored terror. The United States is now a state that sponsors terror. It sponsors its own terror. And frankly, welfare is no different than tenure. We already sponsor terrorists with Bill Ayers, Bernadette Dorn, Kathy Bodine. They were involved in death, more death. They exchanged their pipe bombs for pipes. By the way, I just want to point out that this is kind of a symbol of what's been happening in Europe. You have intense pockets of Muslim supremacy in Europe. England, France, also in Australia. They let it happen. Bigots leave their countries because they're horrible, and then they come to countries and make them horrible. And this is what America is doing. It's a symbol of a decline derived from a rejection of exceptionalism. We are becoming exactly what Europe is.
But here's the worst part. Oh, he's not a citizen. That was bad, Greg. Thank you for part one. Part two, Kimberly, he was here on a green card. So can we officially say, if you are here on green cards, no government money? Can we say that?
Well, but see, this is the problem. We become soft, we become weak, and the other countries are mocking us. I'd come here, too. Who doesn't want a free ride? I mean, I want to ride in the carnival for free all day long and put my whole family on welfare. It's an abuse of the system. Nobody wants to take a hard look at the entitlement system to see what it is. Now it's terrorists are entitled to become radicalized and do harm to American citizens. This makes me so angry, and they hate America, but yet they're getting scholarships, getting the benefit of a great education, starting families here, and we're the problem.
And time off, Eric, to sit on their couch and build bombs with our money.
And here's the part of the immigration debate that needs to come up. This guy, Tamerlan, came over on a refugee clause in the immigration policy, which basically says if you're asking for political asylum, you can get welfare benefits. A typical green card recipient would have to wait about 5 years to start to get welfare recipient. He got it right away. In Massachusetts, Department of Transitional Assistance, he likely got Section 8 housing, mass transit cards, EBT cards. He got a public defender for his domestic violence offense in 2009, and now Johar, the one who's living, is going to get a hugely popular, well-known public defender as well. He had scholarships. Enough is enough. We really need to revamp the immigration policy and our welfare policy.
Well, that's what you put your finger on it. This is the law. I mean, you may not like it, you may not agree with it, but it is the law, and so the law's got to change.
Do you agree?
Sure, but I also agree that Cubans, for example, who automatically, if they get to this country, have benefits because of back in the 60s, we were so outraged by Castro. I mean, everybody's got exceptions here, and that's one of the problems.
You made news this week. You stunned not just the four of us, but you stunned the world when you came out and you said, let's put a moratorium on students coming here from Muslim countries. How about when it applies to welfare? Would you take the same tack?
Well, first of all, the welfare reform bill took a long step down that road, and it was done by the Republicans and the Congress and by Bill Clinton. But listen, the same thing with the immigration bill. This immigration bill, if it goes through the Senate bill, there will be a time out when anybody got here through 11 can then get in that program, and then after that, nobody gets in. Not for a period of time. And I think that makes sense. That's why I said about Muslims. I think we need a time to get a breath.
But what about supervising welfare programs, Kimberly? I mean, look, I mean, the devil finds work for idle hands. And this is a prime example of that. What are we doing? We've also given, if you look at the numbers, over $20 million to Chechnya over the years. If you look at the budget request for this year, this is going to really make you angry. Pakistan, $2.2 billion. Egypt, $1.6 billion. Pakistan. Sorry about that.
You'll get a letter from the administration.
Pronouncing it like the president. Yemen, $72.6 million. Algeria, $3 million. These are countries that hate us. What
We're the biggest state sponsor of terrorism. It is true, right? I mean, think about all the money that we're giving. Look what's happening in Egypt. Look what we're doing, essentially giving the money to the Syrian rebels too. This is the whole thing is problematic.
Most of this is going to. I said yesterday I haven't heard a single cleric or a head of state in a Muslim country say how bad 9/11 was or apologize for what's gone on. But their intelligence communities have been helpful to us, and that's where most of this money goes to. But having said that, I think that it outrages people. I can understand why you're outraged about it. I agree with Greg here. I would tell you that most of the families of people in prison are on welfare. Whether they're white, black, yellow, it doesn't matter. They're on welfare.
The mosque that these two brothers attended, it looks like, has ties to radical Islam, and so many of these mosques often do. These clerics preach hate. What do you think about that?
Well, first of all, not only that, we found out there's more information tying the Inspire magazine that we talked about yesterday to these guys. They went to, Tamerlan went to this Phantom fireworks shop in New Hampshire on February 6th and asked for the most powerful and loudest fireworks. Now, on one of the pages of the Inspire magazine, they recommend using gunpowder from fireworks. If you can't find enough matches, take the gunpowder out of fireworks.
You
put
carry
it in the
that around with you?
No, I'll carry it around with me for a few more days
I was just
until we
curious.
get to the bottom of what's going on here. I mean, they're clearly getting radicalized through the internet and also possibly through the mosque. Can I point something out? CARE. We talk about CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. Where is CARE? They denounced the bombings on Friday, right after it happened. Okay, but they haven't since. So I emailed Ibrahim Hooper, who's their representative. He's their spokesperson, and I said, Mr. Hooper, do you care to respond? He said, about what? I said, about what's going on, what we've learned since the bombings. He came back and gave me the April 19th presser. They're telling me we have sound.
We have sound of a
We do. I'm letting you finish your point,
Let me
but we
finish
have
the
sound.
point, you guys. The point is, I said, no, but that was April 19th. I said, sir, give me one or two lines on what we've learned since April 19th, Friday. There's been a lot of information that's come out where they studied, where they prayed, etc. And he said, just no comment. Nothing came back. It's just ridiculous. This is an opportunity for American Islamic relations to get better.
I want you to respond, Greg, because you made this point yesterday on the 5, but they're telling me we have sound of the executive director of CARE we have to get to, who came on the O'Reilly Factor and had this to say to Bill.
Radical Islam is the primary driver of terrorism in the world. Would you admit that?
No,
you
think
wouldn't admit that.
Your statement is absurd because you're trying to redefine religion for me. You're trying to define my faith to me, and I'm telling you, Islam.
I'm telling you that radical Islamists, under the banner of jihad, are causing the most intense terrorism the earth has ever seen. So either you're naive, or I mean, you're just way out of touch. Do you not have a television set?
Bill, I think you're just making up some stuff about Islam.
Making it
and
up?
I'm telling you, Islam is a peaceful religion.
And he would not condemn Islam. Greg?
Well, I was thinking, you know what? The poor guy keeps denying the existence of radical ties. So I was thinking, if you're an American,
Oh my gosh.
go down, buy a radical tie, mail it to CARE. Their address is 453 New Jersey Avenue, Washington, D.C., 2003. Send them a radical tie because they exist.
Yeah, but
This one has a donkey on it. This one has, I think that's a Seattle, some horse.
But the orange one's kind of nice.
Yeah, and this has trucker ladies on it.
Wait, did you steal this one from Bob?
No, I found this on the street, actually. You know what's great, though? I love the story that I love most. Jeff Kluger from Time Magazine said that the bombing may have been caused by boxing injuries to one of the bombers. So he's blaming the bombing on a head injury.
So radicalized by boxing.
That's the terrorist excuse. So I want to know, what's the writer's excuse? Did he get hit in the head?
Yeah.
Well, you know, one of the things it's instructive here is that this guy is not the first one to get radicalized from not being radical. Even on the
exactly.
Internet. And you imagine now if you could be educated that way by the internet and by that thing you carry around?
But it's that easy.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's
I mean,
what's happening.
so there are probably lots of people out there who may not have been radicalized.
But we
now
don't,
will.
we don't know, Kimberly, because
Yeah.
there are reports that the mom pressured the son to get heavily into religion. Then he went and even further radicalized the family.
Right.
I went on CARE's website. They do not condemn radical Islam at all. After the bombings, they just said, we must remain united as a nation. United against what?
Well, that's the problem. You're not going to get any admissions out of them whatsoever because they're completely in denial, as many people feel, an unindicted co-conspirator of 9/11. So, they're completely useless. I don't think they're ignorant about it at all. They know exactly what's going on, and they're not going to disavow any of this.
Can I just jump in
terms
here?
of jihadism.
And the reason why you won't see them disavow radical Islam, because listen, in this magazine, follow these precautions. Listen to this. Put your trust in Allah and pray for the success of your operation, which means killing innocent people. That is success. Pray to God, pray to Allah, and pray for a lot of innocent people to die. That's why you'll never get them to push back hard
if you
against
consider
this.
the fact that this religion has something they call fatwas, and there are a lot of these people who are afraid to say something. I mean, I think that's a legitimate. I mean, as much as I would like to see them speak out,
But it proves our point. They could be afraid, but Bob, when you go to their website, they're more concerned with discrimination against Muslims.
Well, I'm
they
not talking
play
about
the
fear. I'm
victim
talking
card
about
on their
Muslim-
website. We're the ones being attacked.
Andrea,
Can I
just-
point?
yeah, go ahead.
Can I just point out that the brother-in-law of one of the bombers says that the reason for his extremism was over our perception of Islam as a violent extremist organization. So essentially, he sought to solve this problem by blowing up innocent
Right.
people. It's kind of like asking your hard-of-hearing uncle to stop shouting, and he shouts back, "I'm not shouting." You cannot argue with Muslim supremacy. As long as they adhere to that kind of bigotry, you cannot argue with them, and all you're going to get is more terror.
I had an uncle who had one of those things that you stick in your ear, those big phones things. You still couldn't hear anything.
That was a
Kimberly,
banana.
what I was saying is
You
they
can't
try to
hear
act-
based on Bob yelling in your ear
at
every
all.
day.
I've lost it all. Send donations for my left ear. But yeah, they act so innocent all the while they're reading this, conspiring against U.S., collecting benefits.
But not all
and
of them-
by
but
the
not
way,
all of them are like
people
that.
don't. I'm talking about these individuals.
Oh, these
okay,
individuals.
milking the system while they're planning and plotting to blow us up. It's laughable. It's laughable. That's how easy it is. They were able to do this. But if you think they acted alone, think again. Where did they get the money for all this and for the M4 carbine that they had? All of that
Well,
cost
Timothy
money
McVeigh
and
was-
a
We gotta
trip
go.
to Russia.
Up